I'm with Mark at Glensound. I gather that you've been busy this year with Dante.
Yes, it's been a very good year for us. The last few months moving up to IBC with a few product launches here. Dante Network Audio has been very successful for us. Our customer feedback on it's been very positive, and that's pushing us more into develop more and more Dante Network Audio products, yes. And even from discussions at this show, there'll be a few more products coming up for major broadcasters out of the last few days' discussions as well.
I do like a manufacturer that listens to their customers.
Well, the customers keep us going, so we have to, yes.
Too true. So is it that you've been reversioning existing products but with a Dante card, or have you just started again? And
it's actually a bit of both. When we started our initial Dante products, as in a single commentary interface and an I/O interface, were brand new products that we hadn't had before. But we have now units like this one, which was one of our entry-level 2-unit commentators boxes. It was fairly simple to add the entry-level Dante module, which is a 4-in, 4-out module, the Ultimo. It was fairly easy for us to add that onto an existing unit, and it is just a case of replacing the analog I/O, putting the Dante card on the back, and that gives us a Dante interface on the back of a 2-user commentary unit for a very low price. It's relatively cost-effective for us to develop and get to market.
Cool. Should we look at the input-output boxes?
Yes, we have 4 now input-output interfaces across the unit, across the range. This is the AOIP 44. It's very straightforward, single Cat5 connection for the network, and it gives you 4 analog inputs, 4 analog outputs to the Dante network. Very straightforward unit, and again, because we have the interface developed, it was just a case of putting it in the box, and we therefore have basic interface at a fairly attractive entry-level cost.
And then you control that over the network?
Well, the I/O routing is via the Dante controller software. So this connects to the network. You run the Dante controller software on the same network, and that will identify this unit. It will see there are 4 inputs, 4 outputs, and allow you to route those around the Dante network to any other Dante device connected on the network, either one of Glensound's or one of the many other manufacturers that have Dante units.
Fantastic. And then I'm going to guess that there's a bigger one?
There is. This is actually the main unit. This is by far the more popular unit, the Dark 88. The Dark 88 uses the Brooklyn module, which gives us the full redundant network interface. So we have a primary and redundant copper connection and a primary and redundant fiber connection into the Dante network, which is preferred by broadcasters, a much more reliable with a redundant option. It also has twin power supplies, and in terms of I/O, it is 8 analog inputs, 8 analog outputs.
And is there a bigger one?
Yes, we go up to a 16 now. This is where we add AES. So we have 16 inputs, 16 outputs. They're available as both analog and AES, which is a useful addition. It has the full Dante interface, so we have redundancy on copper and fiber available as well. But this one also adds loops, so we have some information available to you if there's a problem, as we have signaling available on all 4 of the network connections and on both of the power supplies, which is very useful. The unit on the top here is the M version, the 1616M, and that means that the analog inputs have switchable microphone amplifiers on them as well for dynamic and phantom powered microphones. And most interestingly, across the network we have a Windows 10 app running up here, and this allows you to remote control the front end mic amps on our unit across the network. So an engineer from a control room, he can adjust the gain, he can turn the mics on and off for the 16 mic inputs on the Dark 1616M, which makes that very interesting, attractive interface unit.
Yeah, all sorts of possibilities.
Yes, indeed.
And the ability to stop the contributors messing anything up, presumably.
Well, I wouldn't say we'd stop them messing up, but we'd certainly stop them clipping.
Too true. And commentary boxes, you've Dante'd them?
We have. There's quite a range, starting with a smaller one here. This is a Beltpack unit, 2 inputs, 2 outputs, with the headphones and mic input interface for the user. So this is a very flexible unit. It could be used as a little VO interface in a studio for recording and monitoring. It can be used by a newsreader on their desk just to plug into the network to do some recording into a system. We refer to it internally as a pitchside reporters unit, because it's used mostly in sports reporting, where there's a reporter in the tunnel or by the pitch, so they can do quick interviews to the managers and players coming in and out of the tunnel. So it's a flexible interface. And what's nice, again, because of the way we work our Dante systems, we've put the remote MyCamp control on this. So this is a Windows 10 app running here, and you can see we can remotely control the microphones on and off, adjust the input gain, we can change how the buttons work, and most interestingly perhaps as well, we can lock the whole unit out. So once it's set, none of these buttons will do anything, so your user is using it just as a physical interface and can't change anything.
So in some situations, what we're saying is you can rig them up in such a way you can just take them out to where they're going to be used, plug them in, and they should work.
And go.
Fantastic.
That's it. So that's a smaller one. This is the most popular unit at the moment. This is called the Inferno, single user commentary unit. This has 8 outputs to the Dante network and 7 return monitoring feeds, so it's fairly comprehensive. It has the full interface on the back with redundancy for the copper and fibre. Out of our ports on the back, you can daisy chain these together. So if you've got 3 commentators, you just need one connected to the network, and the other 2 can just daisy chain off, and they all show up as separate devices with 8 in and 8 out on the Dante network, which makes it a very powerful system for commentary in a single version, or when you use them in multiples. And again, we have a web browser interface on this, which will give you the remote control of the mic amps and configuration options on how the buttons work. But of course, all of these units have standard functions of Glensound units, very high quality microphone amps, our referee compressor limiter system on all the inputs to minimise any possibility of clipping. And this one as well, 4 powering options on this actually, because you can take PoE from both of the network copper inputs. It's got a DC input as well for an external supply, and it's got a mains input AC supply as well.
But I see a bigger one.
Yes, this one is coming in maybe 3 or 4 months. This is called the Paradiso. This is a very special box for us. Huge demand for this, and we're very excited at the prospect of this arriving. 3 commentator box. You've got 4 talkbacks, 8 return Q feeds. These are electronic paper displays. They'll be lit electronic paper displays, so very clear. Means you can dynamically name each input, each source as you require it, and the users can be named at the bottom. Obviously, when you pull the power out, the naming stays there because it's electronic paper. Most interestingly on this is it also has a complete set of local I/O. So you can use this in analog and AES as a complete standalone box, just on its own, for small events or an off-tube recording. Very straightforward. But if you're doing larger events and you need multiples, you connect it into your Dante network, and you can create yourself a very large event using Paradisos with the control software for this that will eventually follow to manage the largest of sporting events. And this is a very interesting unit which will be quite unique to us and offer a lot of possibilities, from the more basic requirements to the highest end requirements for commentary, which in terms of the users, the OB companies, the integrators that will use these products, makes them very attractive, because it's a one box will accommodate most of their uses. Amazing. Requirements.
And I gather there's been a birthday.
There has, yes. This year is Glensound's 50th year. We've reached a ripe old age, which is very rare that we're going, but I think the values of Glensound, small business, meeting customers' requirements, listening to customers, keeping rather bespoke, being able to modify our products where we can, has been continue throughout our life, and it's given us a good set of loyal customers that have kept us going this long. And it's nice as well we have the core values. We still develop forward, the new technologies. We keep advancing, and we've got in our factory, if you saw our factory, we've got everything from an old-fashioned metal shop and lots of traditional metal bashing, right up to we've got some of the best audio engineers and digital development engineers at the top end, pushing our development through. So it's a very interesting company, and we're very, very glad we've reached the ripe old age of 50.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Do we do cake?
We do cake. We have over the side a cake in the shape of one of our most iconic products, a GSGC5 ISDN mixer, which has been a very iconic product for us. Yes, we cut the cake a couple of days ago, and it feels like we've been handing out cake constantly since, but if you look at the cake, it looks like it's hardly been touched because it's a huge cake.
Brilliant. Fantastic.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you. That's great.